She grew older, she never grew up, because power is easier to fake than maturity. There's a girl in every grown woman. She's not innocent, she's not sweet, she's hungry, and she's still there beneath the nails, the makeup, the curated feeds, and adult vocabulary. The girl never died, she just learned how to wear heels, but sometimes she doesn't evolve. She doesn't integrate. She builds her whole world around staying untouched by time, not in skin, but in spirit. And from a Jungian lens, that's not just personal failure, that's an archetypal crisis. Carl Jung called it the puella aeterna, the eternal girl, the female counterpart of the puer aeternus, the boy who never grows up. These are people arrested in psychological adolescence. Their bodies age, but their egos stay in Neverland. And for the puella, that Neverland is often disguised as glamour, chaos, or victimhood. She fears structure, she hates responsibility. Maturity threatens her like a mirror she can't control. So instead of becoming whole, she becomes liked, desired, pitied, worshipped, anything but accountable. And the modern world feeds her. She lives in curated identities, half-truths filtered through Instagram captions and trauma talk that reads like poetry. Emotional chaos is her currency. Drama is her defense. She doesn't grow, she performs growth. But under the mask, there's a child who refuses to die. And if that child isn't confronted, she becomes venomous. Not because she's evil, because she's afraid of being ordinary, afraid of being alone, afraid of what's left when she puts down the performance. In conversations between such women, you don't hear truth. You hear positioning, passive aggression masquerading as support, compliments laced with envy, agreements meant to silence, not to understand. There's an unspoken rule: nobody's allowed to actually grow, because that would disturb the fragile equilibrium of mutual dysfunction. They bond through wounds, not wisdom, through gossip, not growth. They weaponize vulnerability, turning their pain into leverage. The more tragic the story, the more sacred the role. They swap traumas like currency, but the one thing they rarely do, take responsibility. Because to own your shadow is to kill the girl, and they've spent their whole lives protecting her. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung said, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. So they call it fate. Fate that they keep attracting toxic men. Fate that friendships fall apart. Fate that they're just too emotional or too sensitive for this world. But it's not fate. It's refusal. Refusal to look in the mirror past the angles and the filters. Refusal to ask, what am I doing to myself, to others? Refusal to grow the hell up. Because to grow up is to admit that much of what you've suffered, you've perpetuated. Here's the darkest twist. Some of them don't want healing. Healing is too quiet, too humble, too unglamorous. They want attention. They want to be seen, but only through the lens they control. And if you try to show them the whole picture, they'll either ghost you, guilt you, or destroy you. Because truth threatens the empire of illusion. And inside those circles, those bitter, sparkling circles of immature alliances, truth is treason. They sit in cafes or over wine, dissecting the absent, validating each other's dysfunctions like seasoned surgeons of self-deception. Growth would require accountability. That's too steep a price, so they settle for solidarity. Not sisterhood, survival through delusion. They'll call it empowerment. They'll say, we're just being real. But real isn't always loud. Real doesn't always wear glitter. Sometimes real is silence, shame, reflection, and most of them can't afford to go there. Because to go there is to realize you've never truly known who you are without needing someone else to reflect you back as lovable. You've never stood still without a man, a friend group, a conflict to orbit around. You've never been whole, just seen, and seen is not the same as sovereign. But not all women stay lost. Some wake up, usually after something breaks, a marriage, a friendship, a mirror. Something finally shatters the illusion. And in that silence, they meet the girl they abandoned long ago. The one underneath the mask, terrified, starved, real. And slowly they do the work. Shadow work, accountability, reclamation. They learn that power isn't seduction, it's presence. That connection isn't attention, it's honesty. That maturity isn't boring, it's liberating. But many will never get there. Because growing up means giving up the lies that made you feel special. And some would rather be adored than be whole. So yes, some women never grow up. Because in a world that rewards performance, they mistake applause for evolution. And when they gather, it can become a theater of mutual sabotage, each trying to out-victim, outshine, out-hurt the other in the prettiest way possible. It's not evil, it's unhealed, untouched, unconscious. And that's what makes it dangerous, not because they hate others, but because they've never truly met themselves.